Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. Y'all know me, Nathan Schwartz. Joining me from New Zealand, Dylan Williamson. Dylan, how's it going?
Doing good, Nate. Good afternoon to you.
Good evening. It is rather dark outside. We're recording this past my normal hour because, just life events happen. So if I sound a little sleepy, you catch me yawning.
That's kind of rough because we're trying to get our female listenership up after you told me it's like 0.3%, and now you're like full artificial light. You don't have the natural light to complement your skin tone to get the
fine.
Okay.
A little bit more chest hair. Gosh, Dylan, you don't have to ask, but I mean,
oh my god, I'm squirming in my seat, Nate.
Female listenership just went through the roof.
The ceiling is the roof, man.
Yes.
The roof is the ceiling.
What is the traditional New Zealand way to celebrate the Olympics? You guys have like watch parties? Do you have a cocktail? Is there like any traditions?
It's kind of rough because of the time zone.
Okay. That makes sense.
Like it's not that favorable this year. Like it kind of depends where it is. Like US will be even worse, and then Australia will be good. So maybe we can get some more Australian things going. But I woke up at like 5:20 in the morning to see the opening ceremony, to see the 200 New Zealand athletes.
Ooh.
The amount of Olympic athletes compared to New Zealand population is about the amount of females compared to our listenership. So we're we're holding strong.
I don't feel like we do much here. Or like I love watching the Olympics, and I love it when it's just on TV and it's just like the random channel. Well, as you just start flipping, you're like, oh, hey, ping pong's going on. I'm in. I'm down. Like I'm just gonna watch ping pong for a half an hour.
Yeah.
Did you see Anthony Edwards meet the ping pong team?
Yeah, of course. That was a setup by Steph. He was he was trying to do something there. I think Steph's trying to put Ant in his place. He's like, this young guy. He's too cocky. I need to take him down a notch. I'm going to get the professional ping pong team to challenge him.
I need Ant to spend 1 week prepping at ping pong and then play an Olympian. That's back in the day. There was a show, Shaq Versus, and that's basically what he'd do. Is he'd spend a week training with some athlete, and like he raced Michael Phelps in a. He just did like a down, and Phelps did like a down, back, down, or something like that. So Phelps swam like 3 times as much. He'd always have these lopsided things, but I want Ant to revive that. I think Ant being the next Shaq Versus guy to just like, let me take on guys in fencing. Let me try to see what I can. All right. See what Simone Biles can do. I'm going to show you what Anthony Edwards can do on the gymnastics.
A triple backflip. You think Ant can do it?
No, but I'm going to watch him try.
He's a gifted athlete. Do you think he could at least get like the cartwheel into the triple backflip?
I think he could do a cartwheel. I believe in Anthony Edwards' ability to do a cartwheel.
Do you think he can do a backflip? I feel like he could do a backflip. Or is he too big? What's like the determining factor in backflip ability? Like you got to be quite light to like a strong mid center of gravity.
I think it's really just confidence, because like
that's true.
You have to like be willing to throw your body out, like like really go for it. My buddy David got really into parkour when that was like a thing. We were in high school, and when that wave took off, and he just run up like poles and just flip backwards. And like David wasn't like a super athlete or anything, but he was reckless. He was fearless. I think Anthony Edwards might have the brash confidence to just go for a backflip.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is the thing, because I would like spend a lot of time on the trampoline as a kid, and I could do like a 1.5 front flip maybe, but like the confidence to just surrender your neck to reverse the flip was something that I could never get past. And that's why I'm not in the NBA, is that I didn't have that self belief to pull off the backflip, and that's one thing that Ant is not lacking.
No. I went and pulled up a list of Olympic sports, and these are the ones, just looking at this list, that I want to see him try. And I'm gonna go more towards individual sports.
What if it was
I would
just like the whole USA men's basketball team, you know, like you put up your best guy. Like I want to see like LeBron do the hammer toss. Like I'm sure he could fucking
yeah, you can chuck a hammer.
like
I believe in it.
surely, right?
Yeah. What about putting them all on a rowboat and see how they do in rowing?
Yeah. What's the maybe like I feel like it's more of it's like a slender toned kind of but tall man's game. It'd be like Steph and Halliburton. Derek White.
Halliburton could be good at rowing. And you know,
Yeah.
he's not really needed for the Olympics, as we saw him getting 0 minutes in Team USA's opening game.
You think we could like put Jason Tatum in the shot put or something, put him to use?
Oh gosh. All right. I want to see them compete in judo, fencing, badminton. I think badminton would just be hilarious.
Yeah. That's one of those things that Steph would just like randomly be good at. You know, it's like a lot of handball coordination, quick reflexes, light feet. Like I feel like Steph would, without any practice, be a very good badminton player.
I could see it. Canoe sprint. What is skeleton?
Canoe sprint is another one of those ones where it's about confidence, because I'm pretty sure that's the one where it's like a race, but it's full contact. But you also have to do like a 360. You know, like you got to flip on the horizontal underwater.
The barrel roll?
Like the barrel roll, yeah. Like you are ineligible to finish unless you complete the barrel roll.
Man.
So at some point during this like intense full contact canoe race, you've got to also do a barrel roll.
Short track speed skating. You know how fast those guys get going?
Yeah. I don't think the Team USA sent the right players for that.
The biathlon, skiing, and then marksmanship. I don't know if Anthony Edwards has ever skied. I feel like the basketball season and skiing usually overlaps. And like I at least know growing up, like my coaches were like, you guys are not allowed to ski or snowboard. And like if we did, we kind of had to like sneak around coaches, or like you just don't mention it because coaches would be pissed if you broke your leg skiing or something. So I don't know how much skiing experience he has.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's another step one, because the thing about what is it called? The biathlon?
Yeah.
Is like that's like a rich man sport. Like to be able to have practice shooting and also skiing, like that's just like a rich kid who has like a lot of money and time on their hands. And you know, Steph's like the son of a millionaire. I'm sure he has been skiing before. I don't know if any of the other players come from that much of like a wealthy background.
Yeah, skiing and marksmanship does scream Steph. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, it just screams Mason Plumlee. That's why we needed to have a Plumlee on this roster. All right, let's get into the actual games. Right, we're recording this Sunday night, US. So after every team has played their first game, and what we thought would be kind of fun to do is just kind of go through top to bottom who we think the best teams are, who we think is going to medal. I feel like it's safe to say Team USA is the #1 team after their pretty dominant beatdown of Serbia. Kevin Durant basically did not miss. How confident are you in Team USA's ability to bring home the gold?
Not basically did not miss, but literally did not miss. And I think LeBron also was like 5 of 5 at halftime, so he also basically did not miss. thing that I thought might hold Team USA back is that they got, you know, like the pecking order is going to be derived a lot from um, not necessarily being the best players at basketball, as in like the older, more established guys have the cachet to get those starting spots, get those closing spots, get those minutes, potentially over younger guys who might be better. You know, we did our top 10 last year. I think we had LeBron outside the top 10. That was our big hot take, which kind of actually seemed pretty solid.
Yeah.
And so I thought that that could be a way that they lose, is that like Jason Tatum is a better NBA player than LeBron James is at this point in his career. But there's no way that Jason Tatum was going to play over LeBron. But then we got to those warm-up games, and I'm now once again a believer that LeBron has been not playing to his full ability. He still showed that he can just like, okay, we need a bucket, I'll do it myself. Like, I'll carry this team, I'll put them on my back, I'll make the shots, I'll make the plays. And so the establishment of LeBron as like the best player in the world, and Kevin Durant as maybe the greatest international player of all time, really was the biggest thing that assured me that this is going to be a clear favorite. Especially that combined with the fact that they've got a really easy group, and so they're not going to face any challenges. Like, there's no risk of overexertion or dropping a game, and all of a sudden you're risking not even making the that 1% that you don't make the knockout stage.
Yeah,
it's looking very certain.
Yeah, I mean, Serbia is supposed to be the toughest this team in their group, and just the way the Olympics is working, 3 groups of 4 teams. You do a little round robin group play within that group, so you play everyone else one time. The top 2 of each group move on, and then 2 wild card slots are made up of the final 6 teams. With the U.S.'s dominant victory over Serbia, they are almost most assuredly going to that group play stage. I think the LeBron James effect in this, he's able to play a lot fewer minutes. He only played 27 minutes. That's in this first game. It's only a 40-minute game, so he doesn't have to play as much. He's gotten more rest in between. And like I think we've seen, LeBron has his moments with the Lakers. He still can turn it up. It's not going to be 2016 LeBron, but when he has those moments, still looks like the best player in the world. I'm shocked that Tatum didn't play at all, but I'm not shocked that LeBron's getting the start and playing this well.
Yeah. Nate Duncan had a tweet about Jason Tatum not playing, where he said, it's almost not surprising given that the coach is Steve Kerr, and the thing that Steve Kerr hates most is like the ball stopping. And Jason Tatum, for all of the things he does incredibly well on the court, his biggest flaw is still that like he's not always playing in the flow of the game, and the ball does stop when it gets to him, which is not so much the case for some of these other guys.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I felt like Boston did really well this last year, is that he didn't stop the ball as much, which they, I forget if it's 0.5 or 1.5 seconds. That's what they said. That's what they preached all year long, is we're going to make decisions. You're either going to dribble, pass, or shoot in that time frame. And I hope we do get to see more of him. I actually would love to see him out there with LeBron and Durant and just go with this big switchable wing lineup. And maybe Serbia's just not the team. They have more bigs. So getting Anthony Davis as the first sub, that quick sub in there for Embiid, who really didn't see much time, just 11 minutes, did not look good. He's the only U.S. player with a negative plus minus. I think you'll still start Embiid, just deferential treatment for the MVP, but Davis thoroughly has outplayed him in all of the friendlies.
Yeah. And also just like the biggest advantage that Team USA has over almost every other team is just being bigger and stronger. And especially with no offensive 3-second, with, goaltending rules different. It is pretty well suited to playing through Embiid. he has really not been
Mhm.
good so far.
All
I
right.
do kind of like though Steve Kerr destroying the Celtics via the Olympics by not picking Jaylen Brown and then picking his teammate. And it is I did find it weird that like Jaylen Brown was so outspoken against his own teammate playing like in the Olympics. Like it's one thing to be like this other guy from this other team is not as good as me, but to be like my own teammate, he doesn't deserve it. It should be me. Is kind of weird. And then you put Jason Tatum in the team, but then don't play him at all, and play Derek White minutes though. It's a genius strategy to destroy the Celtics chemistry.
Just instantly introduce the disease of more upon them. Try to split them up, turn them against each other. I said this in a group chat that of some of the TikTok basketball creators. I kind of wish we just sent the Celtics. Like we said, all right, you can take the top 7 Celtics and then fill out the rest with some NBA stars. So not Porzingis, but Horford, Tatum, Brown, White, Holiday, Sam Hauser, maybe Peyton Pritchard. Maybe you don't take.
Olympic medalist Peyton Pritchard.
I was going to say you don't take Peyton and you just slot in Steph Curry for those Peyton Pritchard minutes. It's off the bench. Because the continuity is a big thing. Like I think that's why South Sudan almost got them in the friendlies, and you see that year after year.
Yeah, that's why Spain has been so good for so many years. It's just like they've had the same team like year after year. That's probably why they're not so good this year, is that a lot of those guys have aged out. See the departure, the demise of Rudy Fernandez. You got Sergio.
He's still there.
Yeah, no, but he's not a superstar. You got Sergio Yul, looking like he could be Santi Aldama's dad. They're aging out. But yeah, I do think there's 2 ways that you can win the Olympics. The first is continuity, and so the Celtics idea, actually, I do think would have like beat the World Cup team, having a team that actually plays together. Because if you think about it, like you've got NBA players playing against mostly non-NBA players, and if you had an NBA team going up against a team in the NBA of mostly like fringe, replacement caliber at best guys, they're getting destroyed every single game. But because they don't have the continuity, Team USA isn't quite able to do that. But the other way that you can win, which the USA normally goes for, is just overwhelming disparity in talent, which maybe you don't get if you just send the Boston Celtics.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm just saying, future years, I kind of want to see the Villanova Knicks. Like, can we just send them to next year's qualifiers for FIBA? Just, okay, Dante DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges, go have fun. Josh Hart, unleashed on the world stage. Is the world ready for Josh Hart? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, that's the next World Cup team. We just send the Knicks. Could you imagine how insufferable the Celtics fans would be if, like, not only they won the championship, but they also then won the freaking Olympics?
I would hate it, but I would say it's deserved at that point.
I suppose.
Okay.
Then they can truly call themselves team champions. The NBA,
the world champions,
champion calls themselves the world champions, even though they only play other American teams. If they sent the best NBA team to the Olympics and they won the gold, then it would be irrefutable.
And before anyone says, what about the year the Nuggets won? Deal with that, NBA. If you want to be the world champions, you can't let Jokic win another title. You have to defend America's home turf and right to compete in the Olympics. The year the Nuggets won, we would have sent the Denver Nuggets minus Jokic to compete for this. So you
Aaron
don't want
Gordon,
that to happen.
KCP, Michael Porter Jr., Bruce Brown at the 1.
Yeah. And sprinkle in some other NBA stars. Maybe you put Davis and LeBron and a Durant out there. But, So, if USA is the number 1 team in this tournament, who in your mind is number 2?
I mean, do you want to go...
Just give me
It's
your
actually
number
pretty.
two.
It's actually
Don't
pretty
worry about
tricky.
it.
Let's go Germany.
Wrong
The team
answer,
that the
Dylan.
team that you disparaged before we started recording.
That is the wrong answer. Germany will not medal. I will see to it personally that Germany doesn't medal. Well, here
You know,
they are.
Germany has a history of being totally unstoppable in France. You know, they run over their opposition as soon as they get to France.
They are supporting 3 former Lakers, which I don't know if you know this, but recent Lakers, not exactly the types of guys you really want to have on your Olympic roster. But they have Mo Wagner, Isak Bonga, and Dennis Schroeder powering this team to victory. Former Laker power.
And Franz off the bench.
Well, Franz is probably starting. What is it that you think about Germany? Is it just the continuity? Is it the fact that they won than last year's title, or what makes you really think that they've got this?
Yeah, I believe in the continuity. I think they look pretty good in the limited play that I saw them. FIBA Dennis Schroeder is like an MVP. It's really close. It's really tough. Like there are like 4 other teams that you could say. And I'm interested to see who you've got.
Oh, Canada, hands down, baby.
Yeah, they're the most talented team outside of the US. So they would have been my next pick if I didn't give difference to the you know, if you want to be the champion, you got to beat the champions.
I think they're going to do it. I think listen, Germany had their first game against Japan, and Germany just bullied them inside. The Japanese team
They win by like 20 points.
Yeah. Japan basically didn't step inside of the 3-point line in the first quarter. And they kept it relatively close, but you just can't trade 3s for 2s indefinitely when you have no interior presence. I'm pulling up Josh Hawkins to see how big he was, but basically Rui Hachimura is being the small ball center for a lot of that game. Hawkins is listed at 6'10", did not play like it. Germany just ate inside. Mo was super active. Voigtman was active. They had a really big rebounding advantage. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I saw your Team Canada TikTok, and for the most part, I agree with everything you said, except for one thing, where you said that Canada had depths of bigs, which the thing is that I don't think Dwight Powell and Kelly Olynyk are actually that good. I think Mo Wagner would eat those guys to this, maybe not quite to the same point as Yuta Watanabe, who's like 220 pounds. But I think Mo Wagner would feast on those guys as well.
So they also got Kem Birch and Trey Lyles, which I'm going to tell you, none of those bigs are probably starting caliber NBA bigs. I do like Trey Lyles a lot. I hope he gets more minutes in Sacramento just as a spacing 4. But they have 4 NBA rotation bigs, maybe backup bigs. And you don't see that on a lot of these rosters. I mean, we'll get to South Sudan in this power ranking at some point. They were a lot of fun. They have a lot of size and length. Wenyen Gabriel is basically holding down the 5 spot for him. It's him and Otam or Omat that are their bigs to start their things out, and then JT Thor off the bench, and it's just like Canada has enough bigs that maybe none of them have it going. Maybe you just don't like Dwight Powell. Powell does get a lot of hate. Maybe Olynyk's not hitting his 3s, but you have other options, and so that's what I was excited about. And when I said they had a depth of bigs, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
No, yeah, that is a good point. Like they do have different ways that they can play based on those different bigs. Like Dwight Powell's probably the best, I guess, traditional big man in terms of like roll to the rim and box out. But then they can play stretch with Olynyk. Birch is another like traditional big that if you need a body to throw it like a post up guy, he could maybe be that. And then yeah, like Trey Lyles is like actually a good NBA player, so I'm sure he can make some contribution as well.
Yeah, and they went up against Giannis in the first game, and Giannis ends up fouling out Dylan Brooks, looks Lou Dort, and Dwight Powell, but they still just have more NBA caliber defenders. And like Lou Dort should not have guarded Giannis. He did guard Giannis a couple of times. Dylan Brooks is giving up a ton of height to Giannis, but they have pesky guys. They have lots of defenders to throw at him, and I think that just wears some of these teams down. A lot of these teams are looking at like 3 NBA guys. Having 11 is something totally different. I do think,
yeah, and they've got Dylan Brooks, the LeBron stopper.
Yeah, I think from the big part of Canada, that's really gonna matter is how is Jamal Murray playing, and he did not look good in the friendlies. The game against Greece got the box score up. He's 2 for 6, an 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. So not exactly the best Jamal Murray game. They're negative 21 points with him on the court. So a rough impact, and he was not moving well. I think they're really going to need him to get it going to compete with the U.S.
Yeah, and you talked about trading 2s for 3s. Talking about a previous matchup, they're going to need Jamal Murray to be a 3-point shot creator if they're going to keep up with Kevin Durant, who can't physically miss a jump shot.
Oh my god! Did you see the Durant?
Steph Curry.
Did you see the Durant play to end that first half?
I think I did. Yeah.
Just, I'm going to tell you in real time watching this, there was a timeout, there was a review, there was. It took, I don't know, it took like 15 minutes for the final 6 seconds of the half, and I was just like, Kerr, why are we calling a timeout to stop this play after they intentionally like it's 2 points. What is this going to matter? And then they run the play. He gets backdoor underneath the basket, catch, turn, fade, hit. Beautiful. I loved it. I take back everything I said. That shot was worth it. But I think Canada would be my 2. Are they your 3?
Yeah.
This is where I think the tournament gets interesting.
Yeah. This is a tough choice too.
So for number 4, who do you think is the 4th best team in this tournament, based on what you've seen?
I'm going to go with the home team.
France.
Are you with me?
I kind of like Australia, but I will say just what France has, the uniqueness, the height, the big-to-big passing that we've seen from Victor to Gobert has been really huge. And then Nicholas Batum had a pass deflection that I think was the icing on the cake, where he deflects the pass, they recover it, go down, and I think it's Gobert gets Batum the ball back. Like, Batum makes winning plays. I know you're a big Batum guy.
Yeah, he's like the most underrated player in the NBA. Like, people think he's like a fringe NBA player, but he's like defends perimeter and inside, and is an elite help defender, gets deflections, really good passer, makes quick decisions, can spot up and hit an open 3. It's like, what more do you want from like a connective role player?
Yeah. I so wish that one of the French guards had hit really big, because man, they could just use a speedy little point guard. Someone like what Jose Alvarado is doing for Puerto Rico, or what Patty Mills has done for years. If Killian Hayes or Teo Maledon had actually become like a good NBA guard, that could be so much fun.
It's Elie Okobo.
He's not on the team either.
God damn it.
No, they're running out Frankie Smokes.
Yeah, it's Frankie Smokes and Nando De Colo.
Evan Fournier, Matthew Strassel. What position is Strassel? Yeah, he was their starting point guard. Do you think Victor Wembanyama is ready to lead France to a medal?
I feel like he's not the kind of guy that is normally like the FIBA star. That is a good point that you make, that often like the biggest contributor in international basketball is just like this little point guard who creates shots. You know, like a Patty Mills or Dennis Schroeder. Maybe Evan Fournier is that guy. Evan Fournier is just going to be the big shot maker.
Not this year.
But the reason that I like France over Australia is when I watched the Boomers play Spain, they were really able to dominate on the inside against a.
That's going to go away.
Yeah, like Jock Landale is not like a dominant physical big man, but he was able to. I think he led them in scoring. Like he was able to roll, find space, finish, get offensive rebounds, block shots. Like Jock Landale was played really good for them.
In the friendlies against the US, he started off the game super strong and very active. If Embiid stepped up to help on anyone, Jock was there to grab the offensive board and put it back in, or just keep a lot of pressure on the rim. He may be a good FIBA big, just the energy guy that can be in the right spots and is going to actively work. Also, 1 for 1 from beyond the arc. Are we seeing 3-point Jacques?
He does take some. Actually, pretty much all of the Australian teams shoots threes. Like they're pretty much all of their even their big men like to stretch it out. They got Duop Reith as well, who got a DNP CD. He's the Jason Tatum, that like the established NBA guy that doesn't play over less established guys. So they could still unleash him. He takes like 8 3-pointers a game and makes like 30-something%. So they've got more options there. But yeah, like they're gonna shoot threes. I don't know if they're always gonna go down. Patty Mills had kind of a rough start to that game, even though he came on and hit the dagger to take it out of a 2-position lead in the last minute. But like a lot of what they're able to do was Jock Landale being able to be dominant on the inside, Josh Giddey able to drive and create that way. Whereas you go up against stronger paint presences, I think that they're going to struggle a little bit more.
Giddey does have a lot of size in this tournament.
Versatile.
Yeah, I think Giddey has enough size that, just looking at the group that they're in, I guess Canada has a lot of size at the guard, but I think Australia, I would fully anticipate them getting a win over Greece to make it into the medal round. Maybe they drop the Canada game. Likely they drop Canada game, but just Giddey and Dyson Daniels' size and speed, in NBA terms, not great. But Nick Kalathis for Greece is looking real old. He showed up, took him a while to warm up, break off the rust. But I think their size, strength, and speed is going to be a tough matchup for a lot of teams that are relying on those smaller guards. If they make it into the single elimination and they end up playing someone like Brazil or Germany, Puerto Rico, I think they've got a good advantage there.
Yeah. So you had Australia over France?
Yes. Did you have Australia after France?
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's another team, and I feel like just kind of
the team that has the best basketball player in the world.
The team that has the best basketball player in the world. And if we kind of pop around, at this point, we've named 2 teams from each group, with Serbia being the second team from Group C here. And so these kind of feel like the safe teams to make the knockout stage. Although, just the way the Olympics does it, you're taking the top 2 from each group. Serbia now must win both games against Puerto Rico and Sudan to have a 2-1 record and kind of secure that they'll have one of these better records. And the USA, they beat them by 26 points, which is the largest loss of the opening round. Um, Tiebreakers are first head-to-head record and then point differential. So if they end up in a three-way tie, that negative 26 loss could be really costly.
How would you feel about some gamesmanship from Team USA to throw a game to eliminate Serbia?
Dude, if USA just said, all right, maybe we're not even going to lose South Sudan or Puerto Rico, but we're just not going to beat them by that much, so that way Serbia gets eliminated, I would. No, you know what? The USA is too good. The roster is too good. If they're using any sort of gamesmanship and not just going for the bludgeoning kill, what are we doing here?
I agree. I agree.
Was there anyone that stood out to you from the Serbian game?
It's tough watching teams that you never watch because it's hard to keep track of like who the other guys are. But one thing that stood out to me overall was they actually had more shooting than what I expected. Coming into this, you know, I have to say in the words of Shaq that I was not familiar with their game. I thought that they would struggle to space the floor for Jokic to really do good things, and he was able to like still have his moments. You know, he cooked Embiid one-on-one on that nice spin move. And so teams aren't going to be able to just like take advantage of the 3 second and leave everyone else open. So that was my one takeaway, is that they actually have some guys who can space the floor.
I really like Phil Petrusev. I was hoping he would come to the NBA or get some minutes. I know he got drafted, was it last year, and then just hasn't seen much. Hasn't been able to really make foray into the league. I felt like he had a couple of. He's only recorded. No, he didn't even record a turnover. I felt like I saw him drop up the ball. Maybe they recovered, but I think he's going to need to really step it up, because he is the team's starting power forward. Did not provide much spacing. Kind of needs to operate a little bit more on the block. And I think the fit between him and Jokic isn't as clean as I thought it would be coming into this tournament.
Yeah, and he's maybe not as athletic as Aaron Gordon hitting those backdoor alley-oops.
Yeah. All right. So if Serbia is team number 6 in our Olympic power ranking, I want to pause this for a moment and just ask you, which of the take 2 of the bottom 6 teams, who would you combine to make a medal contender?
And it has to be is there any answer apart from Greece and Spain? Do you have a hot take? Do you want Giannis and Jose Alvarado pick and rolls?
I would rather have that than Giannis Santi Aldama 2-man action. I mean, Santi's been
Santi was cooking, bro. He couldn't miss a three-pointer.
Yeah, the fact that Santi is like the best player in Spain is a very weird place to be in. I wouldn't hate Japan mixed with Greece. Just get those shooters, those guys who can absolutely chuck it from deep. They got dominated inside. If you gave them some post presence, if you gave them Giannis and Kostas Papanikolaou, like that team could be a lot of fun. I had originally said Japan and South Sudan, because South Sudan didn't hit a 3 for the first quarter, and Japan basically only shot 3s in the first quarter. But I think that's what you should do. Is the top 6 make it, and then you combine some of the bottom teams, and they have to send home half their players each.
That is far too much fun for such a serious event.
Fine.
The real combination that should exist is we need the reunion of Yugoslavia.
Oh yeah.
There's the real team that can challenge the US.
I mean, that that team probably surpasses Canada as the second best team in the world, or in your case, surpasses Germany for second best team in the world.
What?
All right. Well, then
Go ahead.
back to the bottom six. Who is your pick for seventh? Are you Team Greece? Are you Team Spain? Is that why we're calling Group A the death group?
Yeah, I think those are the next two teams, right?
I think you're right about this. They're the teams with some of the highest level proven NBA talent. Um, there's a small part of me that would want to say Puerto Rico, who was ahead significantly on South Sudan before Jose Alvarado's injury. He comes back and plays very well, but his injury just totally shifted the momentum, the whole flow of the game. South Sudan makes the comeback, takes the lead with him out. I think if he didn't get hurt, South Sudan loses that game, and everyone's Cinderella team starts the tournament off on a sour note.
So that's the next two, you think?
Yeah, and these teams will unfortunately play. What are they? They're playing in 6 hours from the time of recording this, so there's an absolute zero chance that I will have this edited and posted beforehand. But I really think that that Greece will take that game. I'm willing to put that on the pod prior to it.
Yeah, I mean, like at a certain point, talent has to win out.
Yeah, Kostas Papanikolaou. The Knicks knew what they were doing drafting him in 2014. They just weren't patient enough to wait on his development as a 3-point shooter.
Speaking of development, do you have any belief in Mr. 2 years away from being 2 years away, Bruno Caboclo in Brazil?
No. I mean him and Cristiano Felicio. Yeah, really like what they did to get into the tournament. And they basically just became roll and dive men, and Brazil surrounded them with a lot of shooters.
They've got good point guards too.
Yeah, they've got a 41-year-old point guard. Him and Nick Calathis can, meet up in the trainer room afterwards, and Sergio Llull, and talk about what life was like before the
and also LeBron James.
Yeah. God, it's good.
Is LeBron older than Nick Calathis?
No, he can't be older than Nick Calathis, right? How old is LeBron? 38? 39?
39, I think, yeah.
Nick Calathis is 35. Yeah, LeBron is older.
Was Nick Calathis the guy that got banned from the NBA for testing positive to a illegal substance that he got from like a hair regrowth formula? Like he was going bald, so? and he tried to get like he tried to get a hair regrowth formula to stop his balding, and it contained a substance that was banned by the NBA for performance enhancing.
He got suspended for 20 games for a hair replacement drug. Yeah. Yep.
It's tough for balding players who don't make LeBron's salary to get their shit back.
I mean, you just got to Carlos Boozer that thing. You just get a Sharpie and go to town, right?
Man,
is that not what you're supposed to do?
What a legendary NBA moment! Could you imagine if LeBron tested positive for performance enhancing drugs for a hair replacement?
I mean, I'm surprised
LeBron hasn't tested
performance enhancing drugs without a hair replacement. feel like that's the best reason. It's like, no, I'm not doing steroids. I'm just doing hair growth drugs. Also, I will just say, looking at pictures of Nick Calathis,
this HGH is for my hair.
Looking at pictures of Nick Calathis, the drug was unsuccessful.
yeah. But also, like, there are certain people who should embrace the bald, and he is one of them. Like, he actually looks way cooler with like the full bald and the beard. Like, that's a legendary combo. Like, certain guys, including ones who may or may not be on this podcast, like it just looks good. Like, you can pull it off.
If you can grow the beard, going bald is not bad. You will scare small children sometimes, or they'll see you as like a buddy. They're like, "Oh, good, you're bald, I'm bald, we're all bald together." Just a little note, like, you gotta watch out for that.
Actually, given that we just learned that Nick Calathis is actually much younger than we were expecting, was he actually quite young when he did this? Maybe it's it's harder for a.
I'm seeing this as a 2014 article, so he was 25.
Okay, it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, that's a rough time to be going bald.
Yeah, like if he's in Memphis, he's at the club. He needs to stay looking young.
Mm-hmm. But back to Greece. I think the Milwaukee Bucks need to give Kostas Papanikolaou a contract. Just the him and Giannis 2-man game was about all that Greece had going until, I don't know, was it the third quarter or end of the second that Nick Calathis started being able to pass Giannis the ball and find him in the right spots. I think if Lopez is getting near retirement, then Papanikolaou is the obvious replacement. He could be the new Thanasis.
A 35-year-old European big man is going to fix all their problems.
Hey, do you see another option? Is there?
At least they'll make the minimum so they can stand to the second apron.
Yeah. Anything you want to highlight with Spain in here? Spain loses game 1 to Australia, gave up that inside advantage, but did have the Santi Aldama game, 27 points. It's for him, including 6 for 8 from beyond the arc. Any Bo Cruz takes?
Well, he's a bench player, so we don't care about him. He's not the better of the brothers. Of course, Willie Hernan Gomez was the superstar of the brothers. But I think with Spain, they actually do have a pretty complete team. Like, they've got point of attack defenders, they've got some wing depth, they've got some big men. But unfortunately, they're in the group of death. And they came pretty close to beating Australia, who we said was the fourth best team in this competition. Like, they did give them a good run. Sergio Yul made some crazy shots to keep it close before, like I said, Patty Mills drilled the dagger. But it was like a 2-position game down the stretch.
Usman got in there and mixed some stuff up with Josh Green.
Usman's foul trouble actually hurt them as well. He got into foul trouble early, partially because he got an unsportsmanlike foul for just randomly trying to fight Josh Green.
Yeah, I do. One of the things I always love about the Olympics is like falling in love with one of these guys. I'm like, man, this guy could really make an impact in the NBA. He just needs the opportunity. Yeah. Have any of those guys like jumped out to you?
Not that I can think of. I think it's maybe even more the other way, that like you see NBA players not be at the same level as some of these European players. It really makes you realize the talent disparity.
Interesting. I guess I haven't seen, aside from Papa Nicolau, watching Usman play, he had those good moments, and I kind of was like, man, maybe he's ready to start contributing in the NBA. So I guess that's not like a full European guy, but JT Thor with South Sudan. I'm not quite sure that I'm ready to bring South Sudan into the ranking conversation, but well, all right. So we finish off Group A. So it's either Brazil, Japan, South Sudan, or Puerto Rico. Who do you think is next best?
We're picking from all the losers.
South Sudan is a winner.
You're right. Yeah, so I guess it has to be them. They're the team that actually has a win. They gave USA that good run. Their first Olympics, they've got beginner's luck on their side.
Is who is the 17-year-old? I've heard talk that one of these guys is really young and is supposed to be. Is it Omat? No, Omat's older. They have a guy on the roster that's supposedly a top something pick in next year's draft.
The big man that's going to Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm normally pretty good with name pronunciations, but that one scares me a little bit.
Oh, it's Kaman Malanch.
I feel like Kaman is correct, so we can go first name basis.
We can go with Kaman.
Yeah, we're
South Sudan.
He's a fan of the show.
The length that they brought to this game, they dominated the second chance points, 24-2. Good help side defense, and Winion Gabriel played a lot of. I think he's technically the 4, but he usually guarded the 5. Looked really good out there. It kind of made me question, like, where did he go last year? And he was on Memphis and just didn't really see the light of day. I kind of wonder if there's going to be a bigger role for him this year, where the team is competing for things and they need more of a 3-and-D wing.
Yeah, do you think he's an NBA player?
I mean, he is an NBA player.
Is he on a roster? Is he still under contract?
I don't know what his contract looks like. He was with Memphis last year, and I think he's back with Memphis this year, but I couldn't fully tell you. JT Thor, I thought looked really good. There were times where JT Thor was bringing the ball up. There were times where JT Thor was guarding Tremont Waters on the perimeter. To have your power forward defending a team's point guard, and I won't say that he did it particularly well. Waters got past him a good number of times, but he was being aggressive out there, and I think if he was told to lay back a bit more and not push him off the line, then he could probably have done a better job of individual isolation and containment. But South Sudan just played with a lot of depth. A lot of guys came in and had big moments. Bull had good moments. Peter Jock came in, was hitting threes. I think I don't know that they're going to upset anyone, but I think they're going to push either the USA or Serbia in one of the games, and it's going to be closer for at least the first 3 quarters than we might expect.
Do you think they can get that run back the warm-up, run back that warm-up game? JT Thor gonna hit some more some more wild shots.
No, I mean, I think they're going to try, and I think the game will still be closer with the USA than people would typically expect. But I think after how close that first game was, Team USA is going to want to have a solid win and is not going to be taken off guard or by South Sudan again.
Yeah, they learned their lesson with the rotation. They know just don't play Jason Tatum. Also, Kevin Durant didn't play in the warm up games. Give Kevin Durant the ball all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, JT Thor can't guard him. Wendy Gabriel can't guard him.
Let's finish this out, and then I've got a big picture question for you.
Okay. For Team 10, I would say it's Puerto Rico. I thought they were just as good as South Sudan, and if Jose hadn't gotten hurt, I think they would have won that game. So,
do you know what his status is? Is it like a game-to-game thing, or he's out?
Probably game to game. He came back and played,
okay,
but just while he was gone, the team struggled, and I think he had what he finished the game with 26 points. I think he had like 24 before getting hurt, like 24 in the 4 in the first half, and then just 2 in the second, or something like that. 20 and 6. They just don't have enough outside of him. Isaiah Pinarino was their starting in big, and he's like 6'7" and just doesn't do much. It was too easy for Winnie and Gabriel to get a lot of offensive rebounds. And, just the whole South Sudan team to get inside. Thinking about their group at large, they've got to go up against France. That's gonna. Oh no, sorry. They've got to go up against Team USA and Serbia. Both of those teams still have quite a bit of size between Jokic and Embiid. If you're struggling with the size of South Sudan, you're going to really struggle with the size of USA and Serbia.
Oh yeah. Maybe this is the game that gets Embiid going.
Did you see Gilbert Arenas' completely idiotic comments?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Maybe it will be the game that gets Embiid going with those comments ringing in the back of his ears and wanting to make a point. Well, actually, that's Puerto Rico, not South Sudan, but either way, you know what I mean. He's got those comments hearing. All right, so then that just leaves Japan and Brazil. Who are you taking at 11? Who are you taking 12?
I think this is we talked about small guards being the keys, and I think Brazil's got the guard play. In addition to those double dive men that we mentioned earlier.
Interesting. Japan has some very small guards. Looking at the UK, Togashi is 5'6" in US terms, 167 centimeters in the rest of the world terms. But they do still have Rui Hachimura. I like some of the play that he was showing. Yuta Watanabe coming over for some weak side blocks. Hugh Watanabe coming in for some post defense. Just a few brief minutes out there, but it made me realize that there were 2 Watanabes out there. A little bit of size, a little bit of playmaking. The best NBA player amongst the 2 teams.
Game on the line. You got a 5'6" dude or Raul Neto. Who are you taking?
Did Raul Neto even play?
He doesn't have to, okay? He's there in spirit.
I mean, they've got their other guy, Huertas. Marcelino Huertas, that is
the Lakers legend.
Their 41-year-old. Yeah.
41-year-old.
Here's the thing: if you have a
best known for getting blocked,
if you have a Laker
airballing over his head.
I love that half of the teams in this competition have a Laker or an ex-Laker. Huertas, Winyan Gabriel, Isak Bonga, Rui Hachimura.
Shuffle is truly national. even on the Olympics, you feel the the echoes of the shit shuffle.
Trying to see. I don't know if Canada has a Laker. Which for all their NBA players, that just feels wrong that there's not a Laker.
Hmm.
Yeah, how did we not have Kelly Olynyk for like a half a
I was
season or
gonna
something?
say Kelly Olynyk feels
That's
like the exact player that would have played on Lakers for half a season.
He should be. I feel like that's a guy the Lakers should go after. I also don't think Australia has a Laker.
Hmm.
No, no. The Delavita, you know what? Dante Exum counts as a Laker.
By what by what logic?
He was Rob Pelinka's one of his last draft
Hmm.
picks as an agent, and um,
Okay.
Kobe Bryant did like the Dante Exum press tour, and it was like, he's going to be a star, and so I think Lakers fans can appreciate Exum.
Yeah, he's an honorary Laker.
Exactly. Just like Will Magnay is an honorary member of this podcast with that mustache.
Hmm. A truly beautiful man, so Australian looking. If you were to like ask AI to generate an Australian basketball player, that's what they'd come up with.
It should come up with Patty Mills. That's the fault in AI.
Hmm. It does have a racial bias,
All right. What is
as we all
your
know.
big picture question?
Hmm. I mentioned earlier that LeBron's play in the Olympics has me questioning the lens with which we look through the NBA. And maybe there are things that we can take away from international play which are actually more revealing than regular season NBA play. Um, and I'm wondering whether um, international results, based on that premise that they are revealing of NBA quality, um, how they would affect or could potentially be implemented into the matrix. Olympic gold,
Mm.
FIBA World Cups as an award. Not when, of course, the counter argument is that it is strictly an NBA award. But if I'm saying that international play can be more revealing than NBA regular season to a player's true quality, then could those actually have an impact in revealing the
I
true
think
quality of NBA players?
I think what I would need to do is figure out a way to have the Matrix look at not just at the quality of a player's individual performance and play, but look at the quality of who they play against. Because I'm so sick of seeing like when Michael Jordan played, the USA beat everyone else by like 40 points, and Team LeBron can only beat South Sudan by a single point. I think that's
What
the
if
most
you
dumb, idiotic argument out there. Because
yeah, what sorry. What if you
you know,
refine it right down and it's just medals? Then it's almost an all else equal kind of proposition. Like you count Olympic gold as like equivalent to like a
I get that.
it factors into the awards.
Does it count as more or less than an in-season tournament award?
Does the Matrix count in season tournament championships?
No, I I think that actually, since the game does not count as part of the regular season, that entire thing is just a black hole that doesn't exist within the Matrix.
Mm, mm. But it exists within the NBA fandom. It's not like NBA fans ignored the in season tournament. Um, although yeah, I guess at
Yeah,
the time it felt more important than it ended up being. The fact that like a non-playoff team won it, um, it kind of invalidated it to a degree.
the Lakers were a playoff team. They just didn't make it very far.
They're a play-in team. There's a difference here.
I really loved the in-season tournament. It's coming back for a second year. It is now sponsored by what is it? The Emirate Airways, the team that or the airline that sponsors like half of what I know of the Premier League.
Yep, we got some
but
some
we'll
oil
talk
money
about
behind
that
it.
on a later date. Yeah, gotta keep playing those games in Abu Dhabi, boys.
We need that Steph Curry $2 billion contract to go play in UAE.
Yeah. There was a small bit of actually an interesting NBA news that went down this past week. The Phoenix Suns signed Tyus Jones. They've now added 2 elite backup point guards to their roster, and Tyus Jones and Monte Morris, guys who battled it out for the term of best backup point guard. Do you believe that this moves the needle? What's your kind of early assessment for the Phoenix Suns coming off of a perfect Kevin Durant game and the fresh signing of another elite backup point guard?
Yeah, it's hard to say that you're high on any team in the West because of how ridiculously stacked it is. But I think that I was high on the Suns, maybe higher than the average person already coming into this because I liked what I saw from them at certain points when they were able to get their guys on the court. Now, of course, there is the consideration that their guys have a extended now history of not being on the court, and so you can't just assume that they will be. But I do think that Tyus Jones as a regular season win driver could be valuable in terms of getting the Suns to the playoffs into a good seed. I don't necessarily think he's a great playoff player, but you can always just go back to Booker and Beal in the backcourt to close out games. I would almost like them to bring him off the bench if they didn't also have Monte Morris, that he becomes redundant if Tyus Jones is your backup point guard. So they probably do end up going with Tyus at the 1 to start. But they can always, if he's too small, if he's a little bit redundant with Booker, Beal, and Durant all having the ball, that they can either go to a defender like Royce O'Neal, or they can go to a shooter with Grayson Allen and close with Booker as the 1. So I do think it's a good move in terms of winning regular season games and doesn't really affect them maybe too much in the playoffs.
Fair. What would you think about bringing Bradley Beal off the bench?
Tactically, yes. If we're playing 2K or we're playing, spreadsheet general manager, then that's probably a pretty solid move. But a guy of his standing, I can't imagine being down with it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be hard to sell him on that. But I think it's a necessary sales pitch that you have to make for the team's best outcome, because then you can just start off with the staggering between him, Beal, and Durant, so you always have 2 on the floor, but try to avoid having 3, because once you have 3, you don't have enough playmaking and you don't have enough defense. So in my mind, you start along with Tyus Jones, and then I'd probably go with a Royce O'Neal type, maybe Josh Okogie. We'll see who's playing better defense coming into the year, but having one of those 2 defenders, and then of course Jusuf Nurkic as the big.
Yeah, I mean, like if you were constructing if you're constructing the ideal team, that's probably what you end up with. Particularly to have a guy like maybe like Okogie who can be a point of attack defender. It's kind of hard to find guys who can defend point of attack that can also fit in as like a 3 or a 4. And he's kind of like a guy that could, in theory, do that. He is a good defender for all of his other flaws.
Yeah. All right. Well, any final Olympic or Phoenix Suns takes?
No, we got them all out. I love the how your beautiful Michigan night. You can hear the crickets in the background as I struggle for anything insightful or funny to say.
It is nice. I actually can't hear them because I've got the headphones on, so if
Yeah.
the mic is picking them up. But moving out to the country, did a number on the Wi-Fi for a little bit. We've made some
Ooh.
changes in the recent months. I hope that's made us a bit less laggy, a bit higher quality of audio. As I do the editing on this podcast tomorrow, I guess I'll find out.
You know, I think we've been good. You've got it down. You've got it down.
Good.
Do you guys have the
All
the Tesla Wi-Fi?
No.
Or the whatever is that like a thing in the US?
It is the Starlink internet.
Yeah.
No, I've got Wi-Fi through my cell phone provider, and when I first moved out, the box was fine for like the first 2 weeks, and then just crapped out on me, and so I kept like thinking, well, maybe it's going to come back, and I finally just took it in, and they gave me a new box, and that box seems to be working fine. It was just a receiver issue, but I like went through the
you got to get on that
trying to
Wi-Fi
switch and
6
talking to
mesh
other
network.
people. We're on 5G. I don't know what you're talking about with this 6.
You got to watch out for that, man.
Supposedly fiber is coming to the area in the next 4 to 6 months. So I was really trying to avoid actually like switching, because the only other person I could switch to that runs cables was to me, where I'm at, like locked you in for a year service contract. And I'm like, I don't want to go back to Comcast. Hopefully we can get the fiber lines run out here soon.
Yeah. And Comcast, if you're listening, if you want some sponsorship, we will accept free fiber internet in exchange for shilling your crappy products.
Yeah, I'll plug fiber if you guys, willing to sell out. That's
you can
what I'm
physically
trying to say.
If you can physically plug Nathan's internet, we will metaphorically plug your internet.
All right, Dylan, where can the people find you other than trying to negotiate some free ads and services?
Well, actually, that's all I do. Whenever I'm not on the show, I'm making moves. I'm making money moves. I'm making calls. As a presently uncontracted independent NBA front office advisor, I've got a bit of time on my hands where I can put my skills to this sort of use. So if you want to get in touch with me, you'll find a way. I'm not that hard to find. Ask around, word on the street, you'll find me.
He don't have to dance. He makes money moves. You can email the show, hoopstemple@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. Have a great week.